Hello everyone, it's Janki and welcome back to another reading vlog. And this reading vlog is where I read Anya Taylor Joy's Quarantine Reads. That is the book that she read during this pandemic, and she read a ton, but I chose two out of those. But first, let us have a look at all the books she read during the quarantine. Most of them were the titles that I haven't heard of, but there were two books that I was most familiar with. The first one is My Dark Vanessa, and the other one is If I Had Your Face. And I'm making this mistake time and again. Whenever I start shooting the introduction of my reading blog, I forget to say the author's name, and so next time. So as far as I know about this book, My Dark Vanessa, it's about this girl who, when she was in school, was in a relationship with her teacher, and years later when she grew up, she comes to know that the relationship which she had with her teacher was basically only sexual in nature, and that she was a victim of sexual abuse and assault that she did not know of. And the second book which we have with us is If I Had Your Face. This basically revolves around Korean beauty. I don't know much about this book, but I just know that this book was nominated in the Goodreads Choice Award, so I'm looking forward to it. And moreover, I haven't read any book that is set in Korea, so that would be fun. Let's talk about Anya Taylor Joy. And if you don't know her, what are you doing? You have to see The Queen's Gambit. It's so good. This future Janki seems to have lost her mind because she deleted the clip, where she's talking about her initial reaction to My Dark Vanessa. And now that she's deleted that clip, she's trying very hard to replicate whatever she said in that clip. So don't expect any candid reactions from me, because really, I can't really replicate those candid reactions of mine. The very first thing that happened in that clip was that I was confused with the author's name, because I thought the first name was the middle name and the middle name was the first name. So I thought it was Elizabeth Kate Russell, but instead it is Kate Elizabeth Russell. And in that video, I go on proving that no, it's Elizabeth Kate Russell. So My Dark Vanessa goes to and fro from Vanessa's high school years to her present day, which is 2017, and presently she's 32 years old. So the story begins with this girl named Taylor posting on Facebook about her sexual assault and abuse experiences that she experienced when she was in high school, and the abuser happens to be the same person with whom Vanessa had a relationship when she was the teenager. And so Taylor also messages Vanessa to convince her to come out and reveal her experiences as well. But the problem here is that Vanessa doesn't think what happened to her was abuse. She has this notion that the teacher with whom she had the relationship with was in love with her, and vice versa. But there are instances where Vanessa also feels that things sometimes did not happen with her consent and were a little coercive, but she still refuses to label it as abuse. So the story begins in the present day, and we go mostly to 2000, 2001 and 2002, the high school years of Vanessa. And there we see how she comes to form this relationship with her teacher and all of that stuff. Although it might not sound very convincing because I'm reiterating myself and I can't have my first initial reaction to this book, but reading, that time I read around 45% of that book, and I was really confused and like what was going on. I was not getting what the main character was trying to convey. I mean, the experiences she had, the rationalizations she had, it was really confusing. And so I thought that I'll read the whole book and then come with my final thoughts. And so that is what I'll do in my next clip. So welcome to my final thoughts later on. So yes, this is pretty much what I talked about in that clip of mine. And by the way, if you want to know why I deleted that, I thought that the video I'm deleting is the one that I've already posted, so I don't really need to have it anymore. And later I realized that I filmed two videos, I mean one video and one clip of this video in same clothes, and so I thought it was that video. Oh my god, so I'm just blabbering, but you got the point, right? So yes, and believe me when I say I tried my best to recover that video. I spent one whole day doing that, but all other deleted videos were surfaced and not the one that I wanted. So I thought I'll just shoot it again. Welcome back, guys. Now, as I told you earlier, let us discuss about this book, My Dark Vanessa. And my god, I was editing the last clip and I realized it's Kate Elizabeth Russell, not Elizabeth Kate Russell. And so yeah, okay, so my final thoughts on My Dark Vanessa. So you remember when I initially told you about this book in the introduction of this video, I think I may have been a little hasty in my description, because this book is not simply about a girl who was abused when she was a teenager, and only when she grows up she comes to realize that what had been done to her was abuse and assault. No, it's not that. It isn't so simple. This book, the experiences of the main character in this book, they are so complex, they're so complicated. This book, reading wise as well as comprehending wise, is so complex and complicated that I don't even want to imagine what must go on within the minds of the people who suffered this abuse or assault in real lives. And let me tell you guys before I begin that if you are going into this book thinking that you will read about women's movement, of their coming out and opening up about their experiences of assault, no, it's not that kind of a book. It's much more complicated, as I stated earlier. So in this book, we literally get into the mind of Vanessa, how she thinks, how she rationalizes things, and her relationship with her teacher. Vanessa refuses to call herself the victim of what happened with her, because how could she? Because this thing that happened to her may be due to teenage impulsivity, if I may even call that. It has come to define her whole life. She has been literally marked for it. Whatever she does, whatever she thinks, everything has a lurking presence of this teacher. This teacher is everywhere. And this teacher, I'm telling you, he is not outrightly described as a pedophile, but every time he's in trouble with this relationship of his with his student, he always makes sure that the one to bear the brunt of it is always Vanessa. I mean, and yes, why not? Because he obviously has more to lose than a teenage girl. And I mean, I got so furious listening to his rationalizations of these things, this teacher's. Like, he began covering his tracks even before something physical started happening between the two. He made sure absolutely ensured this thing that he in no way is in trouble. And even when as trouble knocks on his door, it's always Vanessa who is questioned by him. And I mean, why? I got so furious. And I am in no way saying or referring here that Vanessa was as innocent as a child. No, she did make mistakes. So this book is not about people's women's movement, or not even women's, I should say people's movement of coming out and revealing their sexual assault experiences and demanding justice. It's just about what goes on into the mind of the person who has suffered it. And I'm trying not to say victim, the word victim, because unknowingly it has many connotations that we don't really imagine of while using the term victim. This complexity and complicatedness of this book is itself the testimony of the fact that it's so human to read. I must say this is not a book you read for enjoyment. It's not enjoyable, but nonetheless it's a book one must read in one's lifetime, you know. Wouldn't recommend it reading at a younger age, just because I don't know how people may take this book, but really it's a must read whenever you feel that you are ready for reading about a topic like this. Yes, so that were my final thoughts about this book, and if I had to rate it, I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, so I think I forgot to mention this, but since I finished My Dark Vanessa, I'm going to start the other book, which is If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha, and it's pretty small. Let's hear about it after I've completed a part of it, and meet you soon. Welcome back, guys. The update for the day is that I completed If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha, and I'll be telling you what the book is about and my final thoughts on the book. So in this book we follow 4 perspectives, 4 different women, and as to what they all do. The first girl, Curie, she's a room salon girl, which is a fancy term for a prostitute. The second one is Miho, who is an artist. The third woman here is Wona, who is a pregnant lady. And the fourth girl is Ara, who is mute and works as a hairstylist. The book begins at the very topic I think the title is based on, If I Had Your Face. And the starting of this book emphasizes upon how it is very normal in Korea to have plastic surgeries to match up the conventional view of what a beautiful woman should look like. And almost every girl in Korea has done either some kind of surgery. One of our characters, Curie, she has had so many surgeries that now she looks near to perfect, and that is why she was hired as a room salon girl, because they need to look beautiful. I thought this book will be based on what beauty standards in Korea is like and how women are expected to fulfill them. This book began talking about surgeries and beauty standards in Korea and slowly went into prostitution, sexism, poverty, talks about orphans, orphanage, like everything. Since we have 4 perspectives, we are looking into 4 different lights, and they all are connected because they all live in the same building in different apartments, so they are basically neighbors. And so we follow these 4 people and we go get a glimpse of their lives in their past, what they're presently doing, what are their troubles and hardships. But when author tries to do so much, like she tries to bring in sexism, she tries to bring in poverty and so many other concepts in the book, and this book is just 288 pages, and I think the book was pretty small to have ventured into these concepts, because on the top we are also following 4 perspectives. We can't get deep into their lives and really understand their emotions, feelings. This book got me hooked from the beginning because I was really looking forward which direction will this book go in. At some point, I think in the middle of the book or somewhere, I thought it's going a little haywire. Like, what is the author trying to communicate through this? I was really lost, I think, because in the first few pages I thought, okay, I get it why this book is named If I Had Your Face, but as and when we read further, I think there's really no connection to the title. Somewhere in the middle it was like, okay, now we're just talking about the lives of 4 women living in Korea, and I really wanted this book to be a little longer so that we could really go into the lives of all of these 4 women. So yes, that was what I thought about this book. I pretty much liked my reading experience because I loved the first half of this book. So I think I will probably give this book a 3 or 3.5. I'm not sure, but around that line. And yes, nonetheless, I read my first Korean book, if you can say that. I also look forward to reading to more diverse books, not just books set in US. So we have finally completed 2 of our books, that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell and If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha, and both were around, that was 4 stars and this is 3.5 stars. Pretty good, not excellent, but it works. So I think this will be it for this video and hope to meet you all soon. Until next time.